Okay, here we are inside MatrixGold once again. First, thanks for watching, and please, if you find this video useful, subscribe, leave me a like, and give me a comment. Love seeing them. This is for someone special out there. He kind of requested it, so I'm going to go over a little bit of creating something with dynamic commands only. And actually, I already have them toggled on in only the dynamic commands, right? So any menu that I go to, curves, they're all dynamic. If I went to surfaces, only the dynamic commands would show. Solids the same, tools the same. Gems, all the commands will be dynamic. Settings, so a good way to get started using dynamic commands is to only have them active. And the way to do that is to go to this little bolt of lightning over here in your far top right, and just click on that. So I clicked it off. So if I go to my settings now, well, I got clicked it off. So if I go to my tools, I have all my commands back. Non-dynamic, curves the same, they're all there, right? Not just the dynamic. So if I go over here and click it to where it turns blue, only the dynamic commands will show. If you're really wanting to do stuff just with parametric, sorry, I keep saying dynamic commands are over here. The parametric commands, you want to go to the bolt of lightning, and you can toggle those on and off, no problem, easy. So if you're really, again, trying to do everything in parametric, you'll just toggle those on and only use those. So we'll go ahead and get started here. The first thing we're going to do, of course, is get a rail, and I'll just leave it as size 7. We'll accept that. And your ring rail's over here, and of course at any time, since you use parametric history, you can go over here and edit your curve to any size you want, and it'll automatically update. You can change it from US, UK, Japan, all kind of places. I have mine set at US, but I do change it on occasion. So I'm going to take this back to 7 just for right now. You can change it from millimeter to inch. You can do it with the slider. There's tons of things you can do over here with it, but I'm going to go ahead and take that size 7 US. And then next thing I'm going to do is place a gem on it. We'll do the gem first. I'm going to gem on ring rail. Okay, so now this gem right here is tied to this ring rail. So anything I do to this ring rail, this gem will update. So if I make it bigger, the gem will move accordingly. So we just tied those two together. So let's see. It's a size 6.4. Let's take a look over here in our dynamic commands first. You can change it from a diamond to any shape. You want cabochon, pearl, whatever. We're just going to leave it at diamond. You can change it any shape, which we'll get into that a little bit later. We'll just leave it at the round. You can change size with your slider, or you can use the size chart. I kind of tend to use the size chart because it gives me carat sizes here. And I'm going to scroll down to around, I don't know, 3/4 carat, a 75 pointer, and click on that and hit done. You can also, right now it has locked, right? So you can't really alter. If you have a stone where it has a gem report with it and you know those dimensions and everything, you can toggle off that little lock, and now you can input your own dimensions to the stone that you know you have. Otherwise, I would just kind of keep it at the basics, and it'll kind of fit most of the stones. Location, again, you can move it, no big deal. Placement, okay, let's zoom in here to get some two views here. Okay, right now the placement method, right? The placement method is set to girdle, so all our control handles out here are set to the girdle of the stone. You can change them to the culet, so they're at the bottom of the stone. you can change it from the table. So there's a couple different ways to set it up. I usually just keep it at the QLID, but there might be some occasions where you'll want to change that. Z offset back and forth kind of just moves it in the Z direction, I believe. Let's see, this Z direction. Let's go ahead and up and down. Yeah, what am I doing? Brain fart. So you can move it up and down here versus the slider here. You can move it the Y and direction. Let's change that back. I think it was 0. Oh no, 0.5 right in the middle. Oh no. Oh, okay, that's height. So we'll take it about there. Y direction, so you can move it over. Say you know going to add 2 stones in there, which we'll show in a second, or you can just leave it in the center, which is what we're going to do for right now. You count. Here it is. You can change the count number. Say you want more stones, several. You can keep adding stones. We just want the 1. Spacing between the stones. After you get a couple out there, you can change the spacing. Alright, what else? Y offset mirror. I'm not sure. Let's go ahead and put 2 stones. Let's put 3 stones out there. Turn on our Y offset mirror. And I think it just mirrors it. So if you have it at an angle, it'll throw it over to the other side. Don't really use that a lot. Tilt. Let's change this back to 1. You can tilt the stone if for some reason you want to. Where's it at? It was working earlier, but we'll keep that at a 0 for right now. Not really doing a whole lot for some reason. Angle will show you. You can dip it down. You want a stone going up this way. You want another one going this way or something. So you can do that. Let's get that back to 0. Rotation won't do much since it's a round stone, but if we change it to a cushion cut, right? So we got a cushion cut out here, and we go back down here to rotation. Now you can rotate that stone. Let's turn that back to a 0. And let's go back up and get our round back, just to make everything easy for the video. And rotation symmetry, making it even. If you had stones up there, they both rotate at the same directions. Alright, so you can play around with those on your own and learn more about them, get a more feel for them, and I do highly recommend that. So here we are. We've got our 5.8, 5.8, is that a 3/4? Yeah, 3/4. So we got 3/4, and then we'll just hit enter. Okay. At any time, since it's parametric, you can go back there, and you don't want to move it, because if you move it, you just broke history. But don't worry about it. If you break history, a box will show you. You just come back up over here to undo, hit undo. And actually it'll pop. I'm going to do that one more time to show you again, because I messed it up. I move it up, broke history, my gem disappeared, right? So, oh no, I lost history. All you have to do is go over here, click undo, it'll pop back up. So now you know it's reactivated. So now when I go back in here, everything is good to go. Alright, so if it pops up, just undo and then go back and into your, make sure this pops back up. Okay, I'm going to hit enter. Now you can also, well, we'll get there. Alright, so now let's go to our settings. Let's put a setting on this. We'll go to we'll just do a real simple bezel, get it going, and then hit enter. Just make some real small adjustments on here real quick. I'm going to drag that down, drag it out just a little, we're going to drag it in actually. Alright, and I'll just bump that out to something like that, and then hit enter. Okay, and again, if I was to go and back to the stone, click edit, and say I didn't like where that was sitting or the size, I could just move it down, everything will move together. Okay, if I didn't like the size, it's going to move with what was it, 5.8? Yeah. So everything's still parametric. We're good to go. And our bezel, we're on it right now on our gem. So, and then our bezel over here, if you hit edit, you can go and change all this stuff. You can get your a different profile out there for your bezel. Pretty cool. Something different. But we're just going to leave it at the original for right now. But you can change all that. You can draw your own, edit your own right here. Girdle offset. All the handles out there are all right here. And the one thing that's not out here is the dome. I think I talked about this in another video. But the dome setting, if you don't like the dome, you can adjust it from here. Okay, so I'm just going to leave that. All right, so there we go. We got our bezel and now we need to put some profiles out there. So we'll go to Tools and Profile Placer, and I'll turn it to wireframe. And there's our profile. So I'm going to drag it to around here so that's in the wall of our bezel. And I'm going to change that profile real quick to this one here and hit select. And I'm going to do a little editing real quick. I'm just going to drag it up, and we're going to take this one in kind of thin, around a 2.2 or 2.3, something like that. Hold down hold down Shift so it locks it to. See, right now if I don't hold down Shift, I'm moving around, but if I hold down Shift, it'll lock it right in there. And then I'm going to take this one down to a 2.5 and then make this one, a lot of times you have to zoom in, but you can all do all those commands over here too. I'm going to drag this one out, not real far, but 3.3, fine. And then oh no, I messed up, right? I want to mirror that on the other side. So first of all, I'm going to go ahead and mirror this one. So mirror this profile. I have it active, right? So it is active because it's got all the handles on it. So I'm going to go to Mirror Profile in my Dynamic Commands box and then click Mirror. So it throws it over there. And it will not have a dot because everything's tied to this, which is tied to the rail, which everything is tied to the rail right now. So if you do anything to the rail, everything will update. So this one here I didn't mirror, so I'm just going to click on that little white dot right there and then go over here and mirror that profile. So everything is tied together so far. And then I'm going to hold down Shift and add one here at the bottom a little again, and we'll add that one in there, and I'll go to my right view and we'll do a little editing on this. Make sure it's a 2.5. Okay, and it'll keep the settings that you had with the last profile. So the last profile I messed with was this one here at the top, right? Because I mirrored it. So it'll just give me those settings to project down. And then I can alter it however I want. And I'll take this one out to 2.5. So we're going to have a little thin, going into a little wider, going into just a mediocre. Okay, and I'm not going to mirror that, of course. And then we're going to go ahead and hit Enter. I can do an active sweep, but we need to show everything. So there we go. Now everything is still tied to the ring rail. So like I said, if I go back to my ring rail, oh no, I want to change it to size 10. Customer just called, right? So we need to bump it up to everything updates to the ring rail. Everything is tied with it. Alright, so I'm going to bump it back down to 7. And there we go. Okay. So far so good. Which is unusual for me. And I got actually some kind of deal going on there, huh? What's that all about? Oh, that's my, and hit enter. That's my bezel profile, sorry. All right, and now I'm going to go to my surface, and we need to do a surface 1 sweep, parametric, and I'm going to click my rail, click my first profile, my second profile, my third profile, fourth profile, and last profile, and hit enter. Okay, and that looks good. Okay, let's go ahead and hit enter, and let's just go back, and I'm going to go to this profile, and I'm going to go over here, edit, and you can't edit that one, right? So I'm going to go back over here to this one, click on this one, and I'm going to get rid of that mirror real quick, okay? Because this happens sometimes. You forget to put a mirror over there, right? So then you turn it on. Oh, wait a minute, something's going on. So it's not a big deal. All you have to do is go ahead and select that profile. Go to your edit. Since that one's active, you can go down here to your mirror and just pop it in, and it automatically updates it, and hit enter. So everything's back to where we wanted it. And I can mess around with this for a little bit and get all picky, which I'm going to. Real quick, I just want to edit this down a little bit. Not my sweep, but my curve edit. And I'm going to choose this one to edit, and I'm just going to drag it down, and as you can see, it's dragging the other one down with it. And I'll put it right around there. Alright, and go back. There we go. Okay, so again, if I go back to my ring rail and click edit and change the ring rail to size 12, everything updates. Now sometimes, well, we'll get to that later. Yeah, so everything is still all parametric. So change it back to 7, everything's updating. Really pretty cool. If I wanted to change that stone, let's go ahead and enter. If I want to change that stone, just go to my stone. I don't want a stone. Now they're changing it to a pear shape. Oh, so there you go. And then hit enter, and there's your pear shape. Sometimes you'll have to go back in and push these, but very minor adjustments to make it work. Let's go back to our stone here, edit it, change it back to a round. But you could change it to a marquee. Everything will update. Again, the only thing that you'll have to do is sometimes, occasionally, it pulls away from, because your bezel changes a little bit, and those don't know exactly how far to go in. So you have to go back and adjust your profiles there. Push it back into the stone or pull it out a little bit, something like that. Okay, so far so good. So now I'm going to go to my cutters, and I'm going to cut to ring rail. I'm going to take, it'll ask me select surface, my bezel, and hit enter. Okay, and I'm not going to mess around with that. It's going to be fine. Okay, but the thing I wanted to show, the bezel thing went black, right? No big deal. Basically, what's that doing when it turns dark like that is it's saying that I'm hidden from you. You can't see me. So basically, all you have to do is click on that little box, and then you can show the bezel. So click on the box. Oh, first I have to end the command. Okay, and then hit show, and there's the original bezel uncut. Okay, and if you want to hide it, you can go back there and just hide it. So if you see some darked out over here, they're just hidden. Most of them you can show back. The ones that are red, or they got a big old mark up there saying failed or whatever, those are the ones you really got to worry about if you're wanting to keep it in parametric history. Okay, so here we are so far. So next, let's zoom in here on our. So we have a thinner shank going into a wider shank. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to keep it simple. Normally I would probably do gems between two curves right here, but I don't want to get into all that for this video. So we'll go to gems, and we'll just, we'll go to curves, and we'll pull out an iso curve, and this will be their surface. and it's at a 0.5, so it's right there in the center, which is where we want it. Should be hidden. There we go. Now it's a 0.5. Oh, it's lying to me. It's hidden because it's right behind that curve on the surface. So, but when you hit and you can change angle, you know, you want it to go this direction, you can change it from here. But I'm just going to accept that and see. Now you can see the curve, and it goes all the way around my surface. But we're not going to use one side. We're just going to use the one, because we're going to use parametric commands to slap everything over on the other side. So from here, let's go to our gems curve, and we'll go to gems on curve. Okay, so select our curve. That's our ISO curve, and we'll hit enter, and it'll place our stones on this side. No big deal, just keep them there. It's not a big deal. And we'll start position. We don't want them inside our bezel, and we want to leave a little bit of room there for prongs and other things. And we'll kind of size them up a little bit. We'll take it down a little, leave a nice little rail on the side. We'll take them up. Okay, so that's what I've got so far, and of course this widens down to a wider area, right? So we're going to do some adjustments over here in our menu. The first thing I'm going to do is take my target surface and point it to my ring. So now I know everything's active to my ring, or that surface. And I'm going to start position, I'll leave alone, count toggle, I'll leave alone, all this, leave alone. Gem placement, we'll get back to that in a minute, but right here, taper. I want to taper the middle, and I want to taper the end. So first I'm going to click on taper the middle, and it'll throw out some middle commands, which are basically your controls here. You can do it here, or you can do it here. I'm just so used to doing it with my handles that I'm just going to stick with that. So I got a little, it's fine, it looks okay. Actually it did a pretty decent job just throwing up what I wanted, but I want to do some more editing. So I'm going to find my end taper and toggle that on. Okay, and because I want my end a little bit bigger because it is a little bit wider shank, and I just want that kind of look or whatever. So kind of check your stones, make sure it didn't mess with anything else, and that looks okay. So at this point that's fine, but I want to of course cut a channel and put prongs in it, so it's going to be like a bead set type thing. So I'm going to go up to my, first I'm going to my spacing method. I almost always choose fixed spacing. It's just my preferred method, but you don't have to. There's a lot other commands there, gem space scale, minimum, and then I'm going to go to my gem placement, and since I'm going to cut a channel, I want my tables of the stone to the surface of my ring. So there we have this, okay, which is exactly what I want, and I'm going to go to wireframe just to make sure, check it out a little bit. Okay, that's fine, and hit enter. So everything is fine so far. Haven't broken, our bezel's hidden, no big deal. Excuse me. From this point, we need to put cutters on this thing, right? So we'll go to cutters. We'll go to channel cutters. I'll select my gems, and it automatically throws them up, and there's my commands over here. And I'm going to change my gem cutter to my preferred one, which is this one here. I just like it. And close out on that. So now I have that, which is kind of crazy going on there, right? And I don't want it rounded, I want it flat. What else do I want? Start with, we'll not mess with any of that, but I do want to end flat. Okay, middle profile count, mirror setting, off. Okay, now it gives me a whole bunch of new commands, and it changes my end down here to round. I don't want the same on both sides because they're not the same, right? So I'm going to go here and I'm just going to go ahead and make that flat right away because I know I want them flat. And now I can adjust each side individually, which is exactly what I want to do. So the first thing I'm going to do, placement, I'm going to just drag it up to the max. And I'm going to go ahead here and do the same thing. And now I can manipulate it from other means, meaning height, right? So I can make it thinner. Let's go get a look in here. I just want it a little bit below my girdle. And this one here, height, drag it down a little bit below my girdle. Okay, so something like that. And then I want this to go into the bezel, but it will not cut my bezel because they are not connected yet. Okay, and then I want to drag this one down a little bit, give me a little extra room around mids. And then of course I want beads, not channel sets, so I'm going to drag this out, out a little, kind of take a look, go up to my top, do the same thing because they are not mirrored. Okay, maybe a little bit more. Let's take a look at that and see if it's okay on my rail. Yeah. Okay. So everything looks okay so far. Let's go back to wireframe. Just, you know, you have to, I'm not going to, I would spend some time checking this out, but let's move on. Yeah. Yeah, it's good, maybe. Okay, so we'll accept that. And hit enter. Okay. The next thing I want to do is we need cutters to punch holes there, right? So we'll go to our cutters, select our gems, and that's these puppies here, and we'll hit enter, and it'll slap my cutters out there for that. And I adjusted these earlier. You have to make sure if you're going to punch a hole through a real thick piece of metal like this, you want these bottoms to be a little bit thicker, so I went ahead and adjusted some of that stuff earlier. But let's drag these out so we know that they're out. Let's turn it back. What I'm talking about is I went in here and adjusted this part. A lot of times you don't want it real thin because when it prints it may not cut that hole, and a lot of times you maybe not want to cut the whole hole, just drag it halfway into the metal and then let the craftsman drill it all the way through if that's what they think is necessary. Okay, let's go here, take a look. All right, so okay, right, and we've only been working on one side, right? So at this point, I have my cutters out there. I have my hole punchers, or whatever they're called, gem cutters. My channel cutter out there, and my gems. But nothing's done, right? So let's take it all. Let's select the cutters. Let's select the gems, and let's select the channel cutter. Okay, and now I'll go to transform and use the parametric mirror, and it'll slap it over to the other side, and everything's good. So let's just click on that. And again, real quick, if I go back to edit my ring rail and I want to change it to a size 9, everything updates. Everything's updating. Let's take it up to a 12. See, everything updates. So all our parametric history is still active. Let's take it back to 7 here. Okay. So everything's good to go. So at this point, first of all, we have to accept that, of course, the cutters and everything. Everything's good. Now, if I change that stone, it's still, everything's tied together. So there we go. There's a princess cut. Oh my gosh. So let's change it back to a where'd it go? Okay, there we go. Change it back to a round real quick, just so we can keep everything in order. All right, and then we'll hit enter. So now we can go ahead and just do our cutting, right? And take a look at it. It's not a big deal. So let's go to our solids, go to our Boolean difference, select our first surface. That'll be our ring rail, or ring for our rail for our ring. And hit enter, and then we're just going to go over here and click all cutters and hit enter and give it a few seconds, and boom, there you go. It cut our holes, it cut our channel, and everything looks to be okay. Yeah, everything's looking good. So we'll hit enter. Now if it didn't, it's no big deal. You can go back and change it. Channel cutters, right? They're hidden, right? So if you want to see them, just hit show. Alright, so it's on both sides, and if I go back to my ring rail or stone and change it, let's take it up to 12, give it a few seconds, and boom, it updates it, right? So now it's a size 12. So you can, everything's still good to go. Take it back to size 7. Hit enter. Let's go to our gem. Well, let's just select our gem and it'll show up. You can rename these too. So as you're going, if there's something that you want to rename, you can go over here and click on the small box, hit rename, gem on ring rail. So you can just type in gem on ring rail or whatever you want. I'm just going to leave it there. 01, 02, left, right, you know, whatever. And actually I'll just cancel that and we'll leave it. So I have my stone picked. I go to edit, go to my gems. Let's say we want a big ol' wonderful marquee out there. There you go. So again, sometimes you'll have to drag these in, just depends. But we'll go back to our round and keep it there and hit enter. Okay, so far so good. Now we just have to put some prongs on this puppy, these little stones here, right? So we'll go over here and grab our settings menu, prong placer, and there you go. And we'll go down here. First thing I always like to do is get my height. Find my height all set, because I just really don't like the way they place them. And then we'll take a look closer in. Oh, the nudge looks good. Let's bring him in just a smidge, and that looks good. Let's go down to our bottom. Yeah, everything looks, oh my gosh, decent for a change. You can also do all those. You can change your prong placement. Say you want them in a different direction, you can go through there and play around with those. But I'm going to go ahead and accept this, and what am I going to do next is put them over here. So go to transform, mirror, dynamic, select my prongs and hit enter, and boom, there they are. Okay, and hit enter one more time. So everything is parametric at this point. So the only thing we have to do really at this point is really nothing, because if you want to job bag it, okay, you should have probably been job bagging as you go. When you get it to this point, it's probably a good idea to just go ahead and select it all, or do a full save, because anything you have in your hidden that's been hidden or turned off, all your layers, all your parametric history, everything will be saved, so you can go back in there and re-manipulate it or anything like that. That's pretty much the basics of parametric history. I think the main thing is, if you really want to work in parametric history and use all your dynamic commands and go back and change things, make sure that lightning bolt's clicked and you only have parametric history in there. A lot of times you'll find yourself designing something where partially be parametric and partially not. But there's you know, let's take it a step. I'm sorry, but let's go ahead and select this ring rail. Go to Tools and put another profile out there on that ring rail. And we're not going to. You'll see what I'm going to do here. We'll put it up here, and we'll turn our wireframe on. And now we have a new profile placer, right? It should be a prong placer. There should be another profile. That's our second one, right? Because we already swept the other one. So let's go ahead and no. Okay, let's put that at 0. Sorry. 0, enter. Okay, one thing I did want to show, where was it? Oh, I can't remember what it was, but there was something I wanted to show. But we'll drag this one out. Maybe. Out to about here. Okay, and we'll go ahead and change that profile. And we'll select this one here and hit select. And then close that. Okay. And it's way over here. We want it up. Well, let's put that here. Let's go ahead and click on this one and let's delete that one. And we want this one holding down shift right on our quad. Okay. And we'll turn on our green here and we'll just drag this puppy out around here and we'll make it down to a little teeny thing, 1.5, and we'll go to our right view and we're just going to drag this thing all 1.5, drag this thing over close to this one. Alright, right there. And then we'll go back to our perspective and I'm just going to grab another one. Okay, let's turn this on and I'm going to put it pretty close to where that edge is right there. Alright, and I'll click on it and I'll drag this puppy out. Alright, oh, wrong side, other side, this side here, and I'll drag it over to around here and then move it down a little, something like that, and I'll just go ahead and mirror this puppy so it's over there on the other side and drag it over a little bit more. Okay, might have to do some adjustments later, but then I'm just going to go down here to the bottom and add one more holding down shift and we're going to drag that one out as well. Okay, so we have these three and we'll see what happens. We'll go ahead and bump this one up so it's around 2.3, I think was that edge. These here, we'll go back to this one, which will take care of this one and that one since they're shared parametric, and we'll drag it up to around there, and we'll keep that middle one right there where it's at, and we'll see what happens here. We might have to do some adjustments. Hit enter, and now I'm going to go back to my surface 1, select the rail that we had there, and then I'm going to select the one in the center, this one, and this one, and hit enter. And we're going to want a closed surface. Okay, so now I have a little band for it. Is it touching? Looks like it's touching, maybe a little bit. Let's just hit enter, and then I'll take this profile and we'll go here and hit edit, and I don't want that one, I want the one here, and I just want to drag it out a smidge so it's not touching my bezel. Yeah, and then hit enter. Okay, now I have a little bridal set. Everybody will be running the store grabbing this one up. And there you go. Everything's tied to the rail. again. So if I go back, last time, I go back to edit my rail. Well, first I have to enter. If I go back to edit my ring rail, and I change the size to a 13, everything updates, right? Everything updates. So it's all there. And I change it back, say they want a size 5. And there you go, size 5. So everything here is all tied together. What happened to my gemstone? Oh, hit enter. There we go. Everything's tied. Now I want to take it back to 7. Sorry. Edit. Go back. Go to a 7. Hit enter. There it is. Updated. Hit enter. There we go. And if you wanted to, you can mirror that to the other side or whatever. Put stones in that. Everything would be all parametric because everything is tied to the ring rail, from the stone to the bezel to the profiles. Everything's tied together. But that's pretty much. I'll do a full job bag. That's pretty much it. I hope it helps. I'll do a couple of different things. But this is just kind of the basics. But if you really, again, want to just use parametric history, just make sure your lightning bolt's toggled on, and most of the commands, or all the commands you use, are in there. And if you see a break history, it's no big deal. Just go undo, and it will show back up here, and you're good to go. But I hope that helps. If it did, please leave a like, subscribe, share the video, tell all your friends. That's my sales pitch. Good designing. Thanks for watching.